Hello and welcome to Wellness Unplugged, the podcast where we talk about the real, the raw, and the often controversial conversations around mental health and well-being. I'm Lesley, your host, and today we're tackling something that sits right at the heart of so many emotional struggles, but rarely gets the airtime it deserves. Today we look at how trauma affects our ability to regulate our emotions. Now, before you switch off and think, oh, trauma, that's not me, stop the bus. Trauma isn't just car accidents, war zones, or childhood abuse. Trauma can be anything that overwhelms your nervous system's ability to cope, leaving behind a lasting imprint. And for many of us, those experiences weren't dramatic. In fact, they were quiet, repetitive, unseen. Like never being comforted when you were scared, being the good kid who was always expected to cope, feeling emotionally abandoned, or being punished, even subtly, for having needs. So today we're unpacking what trauma really is, the psychology of how it impacts your brain and body, why it hijacks emotional regulation, and how we can begin the slow, powerful process of reclaiming emotional safety. Let's begin. Trauma isn't the event, it's the response. Trauma in psychological terms is less about what happened and more about what it did to you. Two people can go through the same event, say a house fire, and come away with a very different response. One may bounce back while the other feels permanently on edge. The difference? What kind of support, safety, and emotional processing occurred afterwards? When the nervous system experiences something it can't process and doesn't receive help in processing it, it adapts. It says, "That was dangerous. We're going to be on our guard from now on." That's trauma. An overwhelmed system that never gets to fully come back online. Let's break this down neurologically. The amygdala, or the threat detector. Trauma makes this part of your brain hyper alert. It scans for danger constantly, even when you're perfectly safe. That's why sometimes small things can feel really big. The prefrontal cortex, or the rational part of the brain. This goes offline during high stress. So when you're triggered, your logical reasoning isn't accessible. You can't talk yourself down, not because you're weak, but because your brain is in survival mode. The hippocampus, or the memory section of the brain. Trauma scrambles the timeline of events. That's why memories may feel intrusive, vivid, and very much in the now, not like something we experienced in the past. In short, trauma rewires your brain to prioritize survival over regulation. If you've experienced trauma, especially ongoing relational trauma, emotional dysregulation might show up as feeling too much and not enough at the same time, being overwhelmed by the tiniest of things, shutting down or going numb during conflict, feeling unsafe when people get too close, going from 0 to 100 emotionally without actually knowing why, and a chronic sense that you're overreacting or broken. You're not broken. You're adapted, and that's very, very different. But why is it so hard to regulate when you have been traumatized? Here's where the psychology goes quite deep. When your early experiences taught you that big emotions led to punishment, shame, or abandonment, your nervous system learned that emotions equal danger. So, your nervous system either suppresses, it freezes or shuts down, or it explodes, the common fight or flight, or, more commonly, It oscillates between the two. You may not have had the luxury of learning how to sit with the feeling, and you had to survive the feeling. And now, as an adult, that wiring still kicks in. This is why mindfulness, breathing, or journaling can sometimes feel useless or even unsafe when you're dysregulated. The brain doesn't care about calm when it believes it's under threat. That's why trauma-informed work always starts with safety, not strategy. So, how do we learn to re-regulate? Well, there is hope. The brain is not a fixed organ. Trauma may shape it, but healing can reshape it. And here are a few powerful starting points. Number 1, build somatic awareness. Trauma lives in the body. If you've spent years disconnected from physical sensation, it's hard to notice emotional activation early. Start small. Notice your breath, tension in your jaw, how your shoulders feel when you're anxious. Regulation begins with noticing. Co-regulate first is point number 2. Before we self-regulate, we co-regulate, especially in trauma healing. We find people who feel safe. That could be your counselor, your partner, or even your pet. Being seen and accepted in your dysregulation is a powerful corrective experience. You don't always have to calm yourself down alone. Number 3, learn to tolerate emotional discomfort. This is about building what psychologists call affect tolerance. It's the ability to sit with uncomfortable feelings without numbing, fixing, or fleeing. Try this. When a feeling arises, say, "This is uncomfortable, but I can work with this. I can stay here." Give it a shape, give it a color, give it a temperature. This grounds it in your body, and this is where the healing begins. Number 4, use anchors, not avoidance. Trauma teaches avoidance. Don't feel, don't go there, distract at all cost. Healing teaches anchoring. What are anchors? Well, a deep breath, a grounding object, a mantra like, "I'm safe now," a walk outside even. An anchor doesn't stop the wave. It simply keeps you from drowning in it. Number 5, challenge the shame narrative. Perhaps the deepest wound of trauma is shame. I'm too much. I should be over this. Why can't I just be normal? Let me say this very clearly. You're not too much. What happened to you was too much. You're doing the best you can with a nervous system that was trained for survival, not connection. But connection is possible, regulation is possible, and shame is not a truth, it's a scar. Some final thoughts on this issue. Emotional regulation isn't about staying calm at all times. It's about building safety in your own body so that the emotions don't feel like enemies. If trauma taught you how to disconnect from yourself, healing is about coming back home, slowly, gently, with support. And yes, you can heal, even if the trauma was years ago, even if you've never spoken about it, even if it still feels messy. Your body remembers, but with intention and safety, it can relearn. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out and share your thoughts or suggest future topics via info@lesleyharvey.co.za. And I'll leave you with this quote. "The body keeps the score, but it also holds the wisdom to heal." That's from Bessel van der Kolk. Thank you for joining me on Wellness Unplugged. Until next time, unplug, recharge, and remember, your wellness matters more than you think.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.